Hello dear students, how are you all? Welcome to One Page Biology. So in today's video, wait. I'm not going to reveal today what I'm going to explain you in this video. I'm going to explain you about one particular organism. So you have to guess it when you see the first few slides of the video. And I'm sure you will be able to guess what that organism is about. So let's begin with the video, dear students. So you can see a beautiful, nice round earth. Do you know that this organism can actually fix 50% of the carbon dioxide on the earth? That is by photosynthesis. Okay, let me give you another hint. Oh wow, we all love ice creams. So dear students, do you know that even the ice creams use this organism for the softness or the texture? Now can you guess this organism? Okay, let me give you one more hint. So you know that even the space travelers or the astronauts, they use this organism as a food, as a source of protein. Now let me tell you the answer, dear students. The answer is nothing but algae. So dear students, we are going to understand about algae in this particular video. So what are exactly algae? Now dear students, algae are simple plants. They come under the first division itself in plants, which is nothing but thallophytes. And when I say simple, their overall bodies are extremely simple. That means they have a thalloid body. What do we mean by thalloid? Thalloid means they do not have root, stem and leaves. They are simple cells or multicellular structures. At the same time, as we said that they are plants, so definitely they can make their own food. So they are autotrophic. That means they have green color pigment, that is nothing but chlorophyll, and they can make their own food. At the same time, where are they present? Now dear students, these algae are generally present in the water bodies. Now dear students, when I say water bodies, they are present inside the fresh waters as well as they are also present in the marine waters. In fresh waters, we have examples of basically rivers, lakes, ponds, etc. In marine waters, we have examples of ocean, seas, etc. Also sometimes, dear students, algae are present as symbiotic organisms. Now what is symbiotic? Now dear students, when two organisms stay together, that means when the two organisms mutually benefit from each other, such a type of relationship is called as symbiotic relationship. The very best examples of symbiotic relationship is lichens. So inside lichens, there is algae as well as fungi which actually benefit each other. That is, the algae provides food to the fungi, that is mainly by photosynthesis. And how does the fungi help the algae? The fungi actually provides shelter to the algae. Algae are also present on the body of certain animals. So as you can see here, that this is an example of a sloth bear. On the surface of sloth bear, algae is present. Right? There are some more examples of algae. Now dear students, as we said, they are mostly aquatic. So in waters, you can see this unicellular algae. The example of this particular algae is chlamydomonas. Now dear students, these chlamydomonas, these are unicellular algae. What do we mean by unicellular, dear students? Unicellular means they are made up of only one cell. This is an example of another algae called as volvox. Now dear students, this algae is a colonial form of algae. When I say colonial, that means inside the body it can form many colonies. So a group of algae forms a colony, and as you can see inside here, there are some few dark stained bodies, right? Inside, as you can see inside the volvox, these dark stained bodies are representing the colonies. That means the colony is made up of many algae. Some few more examples of algae. So here you can see that this is an example of a thread-like algae. So a thread-like algae is also known as filamentous algae. The example is Unothrix. Another example of algae is Spirogyra. Now dear students, this is also a very beautiful example of a filamentous algae because the entire body is made up of thread-like structure. This is a very interesting example of algae. Sometimes the algae are also present as huge massive plant bodies, so these huge massive plant bodies, what are they called? They are known as kelps. So I'm sure you must be amazed by looking at such a diversity of algae. This brings us to the question, dear students, that how do these algae actually reproduce? This algae reproduce by three different ways, dear students. They are nothing but sexual, asexual and vegetative type of reproduction. Now first let us understand what is exactly sexual reproduction. Now dear students, let's understand one by one. Here we have example of the first algae, that is nothing but Chlamydomonas. Remember we had spoken about Chlamydomonas, it is a unicellular algae. Now these Chlamydomonas, they can perform sexual reproduction, which is via the formation of gametes. Dear students, you know that whenever we talk about sexual reproduction, there has to be a formation of gametes. So here there are three different types of sexual reproduction, as we can see. The first example is Chlamydomonas. In this, both the gametes, as you can see here, these are the two gametes, right? Now both the gametes, they are of the same shape as well as size. Can you make out from the screen, dear students? They are exactly of the same size as well as the same shape. Such a type of sexual reproduction is called as isogamy, wherein the word iso means same and gamy means fusion. Right? So here, since both the gametes are of the same shape and size, such a type of sexual reproduction is called as isogamy. The example is Chlamydomonas. Another example of sexual reproduction over here is fucus. Now here, dear students, both the gametes are of different shape and size. Now let me tell you, generally in such type of reproduction, the female gamete is the larger one and the male gamete is the smaller one. Such a type of sexual reproduction is called as heterogamy. So please remember, the example of heterogamy is fucus. The third type of sexual reproduction over here, as we can see, is the example is volvox. Now in case of volvox, both the gametes are again different. But let me tell you, in this case, the male gametes are generally smaller as well as they are motile. Motile means they can actually move because they have flagella, dear students. Whereas the female gamete is static. Static means it cannot move, as well as the female gamete is larger. So generally the male gamete swims towards the female gamete. Such a type of sexual reproduction is known as oogamy. So here we have understood three types of sexual reproduction based on the type of gametes. In case of algae, they are nothing but isogamy, heterogamy and oogamy. The example of isogamy was Chlamydomonas, the example of heterogamy is fucus, and the example of oogamy is volvox. Now apart from this, how do the algae reproduce? Now dear students, algae can also reproduce with the help of spores. That means they can form spores, and from the spores itself the new algae can be formed. Let me tell you, these spores can be of two types. They can be sexual spores as well as asexual spores. What is the difference between sexual and asexual spores? Now let me clarify that. When the spores are formed after the formation of zygote, such spores will be considered as sexual spores. Whereas if the spores are directly formed from the algae, that is from the plant body itself, without the formation of zygote, then such spores are called as asexual spores. So here we have a very beautiful example of sexual spores, which is nothing but zoospores. Dear students, zoospores are basically flagellated. That means they have flagella, and that's why the spores can move, right? So we have different examples of asexual spores also, like aplanospores. So algae generally have either the sexual spores or the asexual spores, but remember they can have both sexual as well as asexual spores. Also, dear students, algae can reproduce by simple vegetative reproduction. What do we mean by vegetative reproduction? Here, dear students, we can see the example of a beautiful algae which is known as Spirogyra. Now, as we all know that Spirogyra have a thread-like body, right? They do have a thread-like body. Now, what happens? How do they reproduce? So, actually, when this thread-like body splits into two parts, or you can say many parts, each of this part can actually form the new Spirogyra. That means from the cut portion, the new Spirogyra can be formed. Such type of reproduction is called as fragmentation, and fragmentation is nothing but a type of vegetative reproduction. So dear students, I hope you have understood the basic introduction on algae. I hope you have also understood that how do they reproduce. If you have understood the concept of algae, please like, share and subscribe to One Page Biology and share it with more and more friends. I will be coming up with more and more biology related videos for you all. Take care. Thank you so much.